All right, new reaction this morning from both Democrats and Republicans following the Michigan primaries and heading into Super Tuesday, now less than a week away. With me now, CNN political commentator and former Obama White House senior advisor Ashley Allison, also Republican strategist and former RNC communications director Doug Heye. And Ashley, I want to read you some reporting that we just got from the White House from MJ Lee, who has a quote from one campaign official saying, "Any reporting that we're panicked or deeply concerned would be wrong." Now, when I read that, I immediately thought about the movie Wag the Dog, where Robert De Niro basically says, "I've got no information for you on the B-3 bomber." I mean, who's saying that they're panicked here? Why are they saying they're not panicked? What's the concern there?
Well, there's a difference between being panicked and being alert and aware of the current situation that your campaign would be in. We have 8 months before this election. And so I understand you can't live in a constant state of panic when you don't have the best night that you thought you were going to have. But I do think that the campaign is aware and is going to be paying attention to this community in Dearborn, which spans beyond just the Arab American and Muslim community, the various voters, young voters, progressive voters. And they're going to continue to build their infrastructure in many battleground states over the next 8 months and have intense and thorough and ongoing conversations with these individuals that voted committed and may not be totally aligned or not at all aligned with where the president is currently on how he's handling the war with Israel and Hamas. But you can't just ignore what happened last night. And I don't think the administration or the campaign is. This is one of the biggest issues that has happened in their administration. I'm referring to the war that's happening in the Middle East right now. And that they know voters care about it and they're going to engage and have this conversation.
So, Doug, you know on the Republican side, there's plenty of schadenfreude right now looking at the Democratic primary results saying that, look, President Biden, 100,000 people voted uncommitted. Well, Donald Trump had his best primary yet this cycle, and he's still dropping 30% to Nikki Haley. More than 250,000 people voted against Donald Trump last night. So how should that concern the Trump campaign going forward?
Well, I think for both campaigns, John, I look at these results, and for the general election, I think of a different movie. I think of Kevin Bacon in Animal House saying, "All is well, be calm," while all hell is breaking loose in the background behind you. Michigan voters, 100,000 of them, Michigan Democrats, sent a message to the Biden campaign. They said, "We are not happy with you." That's a problem. Nikki Haley's results in South Carolina and in other states say that Donald Trump has a problem when it comes to the general election. And what we see is for November, independent voters and America by and large is saying, we do not want this sequel. This is the movable object against the resistible force. And both of these candidates can lose to each other. And they're the only candidates potentially that could lose to each other. That's a problem for both of these campaigns. And it's why there's a lot of angst and hand-wringing that's still going on within the parties.
Actually, you brought up the fact that obviously there was a lot of focus on the Arab American community in Michigan because it is one of the largest in the country. But it was also the college counties, like around Ann Arbor, that you had high numbers of people voting uncommitted. What can President Biden do in terms of outreach to younger voters that he hasn't done already? I mean, he's already forgiven all the student debt that he can. He's already showing up on Seth Meyers and TikTok. How does he reach the younger crowd?
Well, you have to keep showing up. You can't do, and I'm not saying this is what the campaign is doing. You can't do one TikTok and think you've reached all of young Americans. Some aren't on TikTok, some are. But he's going to need to continue to have this conversation with young voters, talking to them about their issues. Young voters, also most voters at this point in our electoral cycle are not single issue voters, so they care about the war that is happening in the Middle East and in Ukraine. They care about student loan debt, but they also care about the environment. And so the president needs to show up not just on college campuses, but other places. Not every young person goes to college, and have these conversations with them, listen to them, engage with them, continue to prove all the things that he's done, and let them know what he will continue to do if they trust him with 4 more years.
Doug Heye, I believe it was a great man, Doug Heye, who said on CNN News Central at one point that you're not out until you're out. So Nikki Haley says she's staying in through Super Tuesday. Do you think she stays in past that? Do you think she'll stay in till the conventions at this point?
Well, I'm hoping to see her. I'll be in North Carolina this week, and I hope to see her at one of her events in Raleigh to see firsthand whether or not she does. She's certainly making an argument that general election voters want to hear, and it's a strong one. The reality is that's not where the Republican Party is. She's conceding some of that. Whether she stays in past Super Tuesday, I think, depends potentially on some of these results. But yeah, she's not going to say, I may get out after Super Tuesday, because at that point, you might as well get out before Super Tuesday. So she's going to continue to say the things that she's been saying and say them loudly and frequently, because there is an audience that wants that. It's a small audience within the Republican Party, but it's there. And if you're an independent voter, you like that messaging a whole lot.
Ashley Allison, Doug Hyde, great to see you both this morning. Thank you so much.